Hello and welcome to Wednesday Debate Live with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Tonight we'll be talking artificial intelligence. As you all know that artificial intelligence has been progressing rapidly, showing no signs of slowing down. Definitely it can help automate and speed up the processes within the society, such as increasing efficiency in the workplace. It can also help in improving decision making. Additionally, it can help also identify and solve problems with humans, and it can be extremely beneficial in the educational sector. Technology helps with the development of the setup of many learning programs. It can also be used to develop software programs, and with artificial intelligence it's always possible to redesign and also to reform the whole educational process. And this is what we are going to know from our global educational expert tonight, Mrs. Senida Kehl, who is always with us here on Nile TV International. Through her eyes, we are always debating important events and also talking more about artificial intelligence and education. Senida, thank you so much for coming to Nile TV.
Thank you for having me, and looking forward to our episode today. Let's see how this goes. Yes.
Yes, definitely it is a very important topic because talking artificial intelligence is considered to be the future. Well, in the field of entertainment, in education, in information, we find that the internet is considered to be a very important partner in all that. And since COVID-19, Senida, it has been actually a sense of people and the students, the teachers, were all resorting to the internet in order to cover the absence of the face-to-face classroom procedures. So since then, artificial intelligence and the role of the internet has been growing rapidly. In your opinion, how far did it change the caliber and the quality of education all in all?
It's changed it a lot. 2 years ago, I think that none of us would have imagined that today, just 2 years after the pandemic, we would be speaking about an existent already AI which operates since just November last year and is just so performant that produces both a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of mistrust. It has created a lot of polemic. It first came to my attention a few weeks ago when I have read about a student at university who has submitted his thesis and passed, and the whole thing was done by this AI called ChatGPT, and it generated a series of, like I said, both criticisms as well as enthusiasm for what the future could be like, but also fears for how this would impact the studying of present already and the future, of course.
Yes. Well, introducing this tool, ChatGPT, to our viewers in the first place, we know, of course, that today chatbots are being implemented increasingly in the classrooms. The students are using their laptops, they are using their iPads, they are used to those chats with those bots. How far is this, the designing of those chats made a difference in education? And how about the tool itself of AI, ChatGPT?
Exactly.
How is it working? Tell us more so that our viewers could know more about it.
All right. So in order to prepare for this interview, I've actually gone on ChatGPT and tried to see how far it can help me anticipate what the interview was going to be about. As some people probably don't know, I never know the questions beforehand. I know a topic, but I don't know the questions. And I went on ChatGPT to see if I could anticipate some of those questions and see if ChatGPT could also help me answer some of those questions.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is ChatGPT? It's virtually an AI. It's a bot that was created and launched just in November last year. So it's virtually like 2 months old.
Yeah.
It's very new.
Very new, yeah.
And the difference between anything that we've seen so far is the fact that it's a language generator. So, and it creates a human-like contact dialogue. So if, for example, many people will say, but maybe we have Google for that. It's completely different from any search engine. Google uses keywords and sends you to further links to look for information, whereas ChatGPT converses with you in real-time dialogue and produces language for it. We're going to develop what kind of language, but for example, one of the first things I did for this interview, just to see how it works, although I played with it during Christmas, that's when I discovered it, was simply putting the following information. I have a TV interview debating on the future of education. What questions should I expect?
Yes.
And it produced me a series of 10 questions on what possible questions you might have for me. The first one was obviously to do with AI and virtual reality and everything we talked in some other interviews like the metaverse. So ChatGPT considered that I should get a little bit prepared in that field. The second one was what you've just mentioned, online education, how that impacts the present and the future of education. The third one was to do with student engagement and interaction. So like if this is to become a tool in schools, available in schools, how will that impact their engagement and their interaction? And then, you know, how this can help the teachers and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But yes, I have it here. I have the ChatGPT's answer in front of me. I also asked it, I said, I have a TV interview. What shall I say? What are you, ChatGPT? And it said what I've just said. But one of the things that I think it's nice to reproduce word by word is this technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with computers, and can be applied in a range of fields, from customer service to content creation to anything in education. But it keeps on reinforcing the idea that it will never completely replace the human interaction.
Good for us.
It will, yes, it would complement that interaction. It will make it. It will help humans streamline their respective professions and concentrate on fields of more importance. So, for example, if you have questions and answers with customers, for example, the ChatGPT, the AI can do that for you while you try to look at this data and generate, I don't know, better customer service according to what customers like or not like, and so on.
Yes. Since its launch in November last year, ChatGPT has become an extraordinary hit. Essentially, it can churn out answers to the biggest and the smallest questions in life, can draw up college essays, fictional stories, and even job application letters. So that's why many are so much obsessed, Senida, with this application. Are there pros and cons?
Definitely, definitely. So let's speak about the pros. I think that if, for example, you're a person who needs a little more help with the language, for example, like you said, in a formal context, and you don't know how to express yourself. Let's say that you're a person applying for a job in English, and English is not your first language. ChatGPT has the potential to help you or to facilitate that language model for you so that you sound professional, at least on paper. So that's a great advantage. For example, if you want more content or on your website, ChatGPT can facilitate that. We will talk about the cons, because there might be a problem with accuracy, but for now, the fact that ChatGPT can provide that content, so it's as if you don't need all that research, and it's not as time consuming as it used to be. If you can put the right information when you require that content, ChatGPT can provide that for you. So it's absolutely amazing. It can compose emails in different language format. The same thing, for example, myself as an entrepreneur, I needed to understand how to format my emails to sound. I knew how the formal and informal idea, but I needed them to sound, for example, more marketing oriented, more sales oriented, and I didn't know more business oriented. I didn't always know how to do that. Well, this tool can now do that for you. You have a blog and you are lacking ideas on what to do next, what to write next. ChatGPT can bring those ideas on board. You need a policy.
Let's say conversational, so
exactly.
there is some sort of interaction. Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's human-like interaction, human-like interaction, and the more input you provide, the more accurate information it gives and more complex. For example, maybe there's a book you've always wanted to write, but because you're not a writer, you've never really known how to put that in writing. You know the content, you know the idea, but you don't really know how, because you're not a creative writer, so to speak. Well, ChatGPT can help you with that. How amazing is that? That's nice. Brilliant, a bit scary as well, because obviously those people who have been the creators behind all these contents and writing are kind of losing out a little bit. Spreadsheets, of course. What I also found interesting was in the health sector. It can help with diagnosis. Obviously, doctors would always say, do not go on Google and diagnose yourself, talk to a doctor. But ChatGPT seems to be a lot more accurate than that, because it can generate, based on the information you give, quite a complex diagnosis and quite a lot of information.
In what way is it different, Mrs. Senida, from other search engines, in your opinion? What makes it so special?
It's special because it does not send you to it answers your question. It does not send you to further links. So once you ask the question, you receive information on the spot, and it's a complex language information. It's not, depends on obviously on the question. ChatGPT is not being used for what time is it now in London, or what's the I don't know, what's the capital of Paris, of France, sorry, what's the capital of France. ChatGPT is used for a more complex tasks. For example, if you're a teacher and you're teaching year 6 and you have an assessment tomorrow, you can ask ChatGPT, let's say I'm teaching geography, I need questions and answers assessment for year 6 on these areas, and ChatGPT can produce those questions and answers for you in like seconds, in minutes. And then of course it's your input there to check on accuracy and the validity of those questions. Trivial games, I don't know if you like all those, obviously Trivial Pursuit or all those games, it can just produce all these games. It can produce poems. We've tried it out today with my son, and because my son likes writing poetry, and it works perfectly. Perfectly. He was very jealous because obviously it takes him a while to write a poem and to find that rhyme, and ChatGPT just goes like, you give the subject and a little bit of information, and in like seconds produces that rhyme and everything. So
in the era of technology, and you as teachers, you have to follow like minute to minute the advancement in this field, especially the technological advancements vis-a-vis education and the different assignments. Well, concerning the potential to do more than just teaching students, I guess the ChatGPT can also do more in that respect in assignments to the students? And how about the teachers? How about the coaches? How can it help?
Yeah, so ChatGPT can help everybody a great deal. So I've already given some examples for teachers, but basically what it can do is it can help the teacher produce all this information for students in no time. It can help the students do research in a very short span of time. So, for example, if until now students would go on their respective iPads and work in groups to find information about a particular country, this time you can just ask questions about that country and ChatGPT can generate all this information in a matter of seconds. And it can help with essays, but ChatGPT also is very clear that depending or developing a dependency on ChatGPT can lead to a lack of critical thinking. So it's not useful to depend your whole life, your whole world, your whole research on ChatGPT. Also, teachers are encouraged not to forbid this tool in institutions. Most universities now in the countries where ChatGPT is already available have proceeded to prohibiting it in institutions. And ChatGPT even said that it shouldn't be prohibited, but it should be used as an additional tool to improving a student's learning journey rather than hindering its goals. Yeah. And I'm sure very soon there will be some tools that make sure that they check when students submit work that not everything is generated by an AI, but it's also part of the student's learning process. We know that for many years now, if you copy and paste from internet, there are already tools that university is used when you produce an assignment or thesis, and they know exactly that you've copied that, and as a result, it does not count towards, you know, your professional development. And I'm sure this is the next step for all institutions to somehow
adopt it later.
Of course, yeah.
Bringing in on the daily debate more concerning the latest up-to-date technology, if you ask the ChatGPT a question, well, as millions have in the recent weeks, you will find that there is going to be a response. There's going to be answering your question very confidently and also very fluently. Knowing more about ChatGPT and how far is it going to be an educational friend, how far is it going to be our educational friend, Senida? And are they gone those days where we need to go to the library and we need even to photocopy maybe some papers from a book in order to do an assignment? So in today's world, I guess it's totally different.
Exactly, yes. I've asked ChatGPT, are you here to stay? Because I thought it was a valid question and I was curious what answer it would generate. And basically it says, yes, ChatGPT is here to stay. And of course, it at a very incipient life. It will develop further and further. Better and more complex and more performant models are to follow up in the future. We already know that Google is about to launch a ChatGPT, I think it's called ChatGPT 4, very soon. So the more input it receives, the more performant it becomes. And it says that it has the potential to, this is the ChatGPT generated answer. It has the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with computers and to greatly enhance, this is, I think, a very important word, to enhance a wide range of applications, including content creation and education and everything we've talked about. It's important to note that it's in the developmental states right now, and it's still early stages to know how far it will go. But there are many, because there are still many challenges to overcome. And there are many cons for now that we haven't talked about that they need to work on in order to make it more performant and more professionally accepted. We know that everybody who has to do some kind of work is now enthusiastic about it and is accepting it, but professionally it still needs to develop a little bit to be accepted.
Yeah.
So some of the cons would be its accuracy.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you receive an answer, if you're not a professional of the field, you might think that that answer is 100% valid, whereas ChatGPT recognizes already that so far it might lack inaccuracy, especially when it's very precise information such as science, history, and where if you produce incorrect information, it could have serious consequences. You would come across as somebody who's not professional.
Yeah.
It also doesn't understand, it can be biased. It doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong very well. So some of the stuff that you might produce in the area of politics or social issues, social studies, it could come across as biased. So again, the human mind is important, and the specialists are important to fact check that information and to make sure that what they transmit is the right thing.
Yes.
So it generates language, but we still need to be careful at how we present that language.
Yeah, it's always great to talk about the future, especially the future of technologies in our lives, and especially in the field of education, because in a way or another it really changes the way how we all learn and how also our kids learn at school, and how professors also teach, whether at schools or at the universities. That's why Egypt, of course, took great strides under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and intensified efforts in order to adopt the AI technologies, to develop clear strategies that would utilize those technologies in building the modern state that we are aspiring always. Well, let's follow this report on Egypt's artificial intelligence strategy, and we'll be back.
When launching Egypt's national artificial intelligence strategy, President Sisi stated that Egypt is keen to embrace the digital era as advancements in technology continue to evolve every day. These developments create promising opportunities for laying the foundation for a national economy that is based on the emerging technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, most notably artificial intelligence. Egypt has launched the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy aiming to attain the country's sustainable development goals, play a key role in facilitating regional cooperation within the African and Arab regions, and establish Egypt as an active international player in AI. In line with the new republic's commitment towards sustainable development goals, Egypt has formulated a comprehensive vision that includes the fundamentals related to transforming Egypt into a digital society where all technologies and almost all fields of life can be integrated. Recent studies and indicators all point to the net positive effect that can be realized from adopting AI to benefit substantially from the opportunities AI affords. To this end, Egypt is embarking on developing a national strategy for AI which aims to realize the 2030 vision. Applying AI to areas such as education can facilitate access, overcome staff shortages, and reduce risks and costs. In line with this, the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence was drafted under the slogan, Artificial Intelligence for Development and Prosperity, to espouse the development goals of the country, hinging on the deployment of technology to achieve Egypt's development goals.
AI is always offering a centralized and an insightful system for handling all the online functions. And we usually resort to AI, especially in the field of education, of course, because it facilitates the tasks for both the professors as well as the students. Right, Senida?
Correct.
How does it
Correct.
work, in your opinion?
So a very important thing is that while the AI can mainstream the tasks, at the same time it cannot offer motivation. So the teacher, the figure of the teacher will always be present in that aspect. It does not offer emotional support. It does not offer valuable feedback. For example, the AI can tell you how a student progresses in terms of numbers, percentages, but it cannot tell you how the student has worked really hard and improved at the subject.
Yeah.
So that's where the teacher's figure still needs to be there. It cannot think on the spot. So the teacher still needs to decide what to do when a student, for example, comes and reports that they have been bullied, or they've had an accident, or they are anxious about the exam, for example, right? Mm-hmm. So the teacher's figure is still going to be there. AIs can help students do the research much faster, of course, but AIs cannot teach them logic and critical thinking. So for that, they still need to work, they still need to go to school, and they need to ensure, and maybe adults need to ensure, that when these tools go into their hands, they do not create dependency, but they become a tool to improve and to facilitate information much faster than what we've had so far. But it's not the only thing that will develop our studies. Creative writing will still exist in spite of the AIs, because while the AI can create a poem, it cannot create the emotion in the poem. If
Yes.
that poem or that book is developed from a personal experience, the AI can never replace that.
Which is good for us.
Of course, of course.
This means that we will not be losing our jobs. Yes, we might find an anchor or a TV presenter
Exactly.
Presenting the show. However, the flesh and blood needs a human being.
Exactly. So those repetitive jobs will be slowly replaced. So, for example, the typical questions for a customer service company, that will be taken over by the AI. However, the emotions of a customer will still have to be dealt with a human. I've also asked them, just because we on TV, if the TV presenters are going to be ever replaced, and they said no, because of the same thing. TV presenters will need to think on the spot. They will have to interview live. Yes, and to interview live.
Exactly like what we're doing now.
And exactly, and maybe many times report live from something that's in the process of developing in front of our eyes, and as a result, your job is secure. So it's probably good to know that.
That's good news.
Yes,
that gives a sense of optimism for the future.
Yes.
No one actually wants to lose his or her job. However, the development of robotics in our lives, in education specifically, is definitely huge and making a revolution in the way people learn today, not only for the students, but for educators as well.
Of course.
In what way has the teaching trends or the teaching methods differed with the introduction of AI?
Well, again, the pandemic has pushed us forward, and not only forward, but quickly, maybe by 10 years. Everything that was considered absolutely a must, for example, a face-to-face meeting, is now considered okay if it's on screen. We used to be afraid of screens, and now we've embraced them because they facilitated communication. They shortened the distance. There is no need for visas. There is no expenses for commute, for transportation. So a lot of things have been facilitated by the use of online technology, AIs. Very soon, as we spoke in other interviews, metaverse will be just a normal part of the educational process. The future looks so different from what we think right now, from what we know right now. There will be jobs such as developing AI bots. Those jobs already exist basically, but now our children need to probably specialize in that. Anything to do with mastering an AI, that's going to be a job in the future. Anything that is to do with data research and using an AI for that is going to be a job for the future. We spoke about tourism and metaverse, places like you can never go to because of distance, because of money, because of so many other issues, can be available in the virtual reality. It's just a world that, although I'm trying to imagine, I'm just going to step into it little by little. Like our last interview in October, I did not know that ChatGPT was going to just exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was introduced in November, and by Christmas everybody was asking silly questions only to see how it worked, and now it can already provide facilitate education. Is just
how it progressed, you know, in no time.
In no time, in weeks, in months. Mm-hmm. So now if Google also launches their own ChatGPT 4, I don't know, but it's supposedly very soon, and make it available for everybody, because ChatGPT as it is right now, it's not available for everybody only because of the system. It's still, everybody wants to try it out, and it's not big enough to accommodate everybody. So imagine when it's available for everybody, it will just blow out of proportion. We will use it for now. ChatGPT is not available on mobile phones, for example.
Yes.
When that's available as well, another step forward is just incredible. We cannot imagine what it's going to be like from now till summer. Let's put it that way.
Yes, it's a very important and a real advantage also, not only for students and teachers to be introduced to new engines and technological engines, and be face to face with this sense of technological revolution, but also for the parents as well. It can also assist parents to follow up on their kids' education, isn't it?
Exactly. The AIs should provide personalized information on their children's learning journey. As a result, by having this tool at hand, teachers should be able to input all that information for the parents, and the parents should have more access to it. Some institutions already have some kind of electronic formats of this communication, and there are systems which show tell the parents where their children are in their learning journey. However, the AIs are going to streamline that, facilitate that. At the input, teachers now spend maybe a lot of time filling in that data so that parents can have access to it, maybe let's say once a week, or sometimes only once a month, or maybe once a term. However, in the future,
they can also supervise their kids' interactions while they are online.
Exactly.
This is quite interesting.
This is quite interesting. We're going to see if ChatGPT will have to have some kind of parental guidance, some kind of possibility for the parents to, I don't know, to limit its information. For now, it doesn't have unlimited information, so for now we're safe, but it will get there. So maybe that's something to think about the future. It will generate content. For now, it does not generate any inappropriate content. So for now, but you know, the internet is basically limitless, and maybe ChatGPT in its future forms, maybe developed by other companies, might become unlimited in its content as well, so we need to be careful there. It will. We still need to be careful when it comes to student engagement and children parents engagement. You don't want to pluck your children in front of the computer, and because now you know that the child can do their homework with ChatGPT just fine. You probably don't want that. You still want your children to think exactly,
yes,
and not just
to try.
Exactly.
Not have everything that's easy.
Exactly. So we need to be careful not to use it as babysitting our children. The reading is still very important. Developing their fine motor skills is still very important.
Yes.
Because we still need to drive cars, and we still need to use our hands to, I don't know, to do lots of things, and developing all the physical abilities of our children is important. We still need to remember that sports is important. Yeah, we always talk about a healthy body
lifestyle. Yeah.
Exactly. We cannot have a healthy body without a healthy mind, and vice versa. We cannot have a healthy mind if our body is in front of the computer and just generated answers from the ChatGPT. So we need to take all that in consideration. But being so new, for now, is just an introduction to what it can do. And little by little, we will find a way. For now, it's not even available in all countries. So little by little, this is just informative. Even myself, I'm not an expert. I'm just a step forward against people who haven't even had the chance to understand what this is all about. And I've had the opportunity to generate some information, to try it out, to see how it works in my field of expertise. But even myself, I mean, I don't think that anybody is an expert just now. I mean, it's only 2 months old, 3 months old AI. But it's exciting. It's very exciting and very useful and professional tool.
Yes, it is. Well, learning and employment records shaping across the quality education and also jobs. What Senida was saying, which is quite very interesting, is that if I do have like a job opportunity and I go on the ChatGPT, it will definitely help me bring about ideas for the conversation or the sort of questions that I might be asked in the sense of interview. I guess it will also help me as an anchor if I am before an interview.
Both ways.
Both ways. Like what sort of questions shall I ask to a big scientist if I just enter the information about him? Quite interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And, definitely it helps a lot. It will reshape, and AI definitely revolutionizes our life in a way or another. How far will it help the youth, and especially those also with special needs? Because in our societies, of course, we are under the leadership of the president giving special care and special attention to providing facilities, equal facilities to the differently abled.
Exactly. So great question. Because there was, I've asked this question, and one of the answers were children with dyslexia, for example. Children with dyslexia, as we know, they can have more difficulties not only to read, but obviously to write, for example, or to express themselves in writing. Well, ChatGPT can facilitate that. Introverts, children who are afraid or embarrassed, they learn differently, or even embarrassed to speak in public, for example, or to ask questions in a group, could talk to a ChatGPT and facilitate such information, right? Children who, for example, maybe they can't speak because of...
So it enhances this sense of communication.
Communication, because it's, for now, it's a language generator. So it facilitates communication. And if you're a child or an adult that cannot communicate for various reasons, especially if you're a special needs person, then a bot can facilitate that. So it's great, because maybe if children were to work together, the child who cannot speak, for example, who cannot write, could still be part of that group, because it can work on the same AI and produce the same material as the child who is able to speak. So it definitely facilitates communication when it comes to SEN students.
Yes. Can it like help the students who want to work like in teams and use this facility as well, not necessarily, you know, one-to-one usage? Can
Of course,
it help?
absolutely, yes, yes, yes. Students already use an iPad to find information about whatever subject they are studying. This time, instead of just using the iPad and going to their respective links, they are going to feed in the correct information and then receive already a wealth of information back, a complex answer. So the more information you provide in your question, the better and more accurate the answers are going to be. For example, if you were to say, I'm going to interview, like you said, a scientist, what questions should I ask? It will provide you with some possible questions to ask a scientist. However, if you say, so once you see those questions, you want to go deeper, I'm going to interview a scientist who has who is an expert in this field of education. What kind of questions should I ask?
Biochemistry, for instance.
Exactly. And then I would like to ask him about, I'm going to interview a scientist and ask him questions to do with the latest development in this field or the theory of such. So the more information you give in that question,
the more it helps.
Exactly. So what's going to happen for everybody is like you're going to start playing with it and realize that the more input you give, the more accurate and complex the answers. And it does not only generate possible questions to ask, it will help you understand what kind of answers you would receive and anticipate how to continue the conversation from there. Because sometimes we know how to ask questions, but we do not know what to do with the answers we receive. But ChatGPT can help you receive those, anticipate those answers and develop further conversation from those answers. So it's pretty exciting. Yes.
Yes, pretty exciting and pretty interesting. And this is actually the future, let me say.
Present.
So, and present and the future. And artificial intelligence is shaping the way people have access to education and career opportunities around the world. It's the present, as Senida said, and it's the future. We talked tonight also about technology and education technologies, and in what way will AI like change and revolutionize the way people learn today. I thank you very much, Ms. Senida Kehl, Global Education Expert, for coming to Nile TV Tonight Live on Wednesday Debate and talking to us about AI and GPT. This Chat GPT which is really new, so I'm really glad that we talked about it. It has been like a 2-month-old engine, so definitely we will have more talk about technology and AI as it progresses. Thank you so much, Senida.
Thank you very much for having me. A pleasure as always.
Thank you. And I thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. And that was Wednesday Debate Live with Kehl Hussein. Many thanks for watching.